All right, now we're actually going to put it all together. So this is the exciting part. We start with taking our natural yeast. We're going to just take that cheesecloth right off of there. And take my nice, awesome spoon. I always stir it down. You want to get the air and stuff out of it so you get an actual, probably just so you get a good measurement on it more than anything. I want you to take a look at what that looks like. Isn't that just lovely? It's just awesome. Okay, so now this spoon is a ½ cup. If you take a rounded spoonful of it, it equals a ½ cup. So that's really easy for me and kind of cheating, but that's how I do it. So I need 1½ cups of yeast starter. So I just take one. That was actually a little more than a ½ cup of that one. So we'll do a little less on this one. 2, 3, and 3. So I've got 1½ cups of yeast starter. Don't stress if it's a little less, a little more. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not an exact. It doesn't have to be exact. And as you can see, I'm not a perfectionist. The way that I cook, you should know pretty quick that I'm not a perfectionist. If it tastes good, I'm happy. Okay, so we're going to set that aside now. We're done with our yeast. But I will say one more thing. Right after you finish using your yeast for something, you'll want to feed it and then put it in the fridge. Okay? So always feed it right after you use it. That's important. All right. The next thing I did is I took this, and this just makes it easy. I'm not normally this organized, but I'm videoing. So this is 8 cups in a 2-quart thing. And I filled it up to 7 cups of water, and this is just room temperature water, okay? Store-bought water, or sorry, store-bought yeast, you want like a hotter water, not hot, but warmer. This is just room temperature. You don't have to have really warm water for natural yeast. So you use your room temperature water, 7 cups, okay? And remember, this will make us 6 loaves of delicious bread. So, okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to take a cup of water and put your 4 tablespoons of coconut oil in there so it will melt the coconut oil. You don't want to put glops of coconut oil in there or it won't be blended in with everything. And now if I was going to do the cinnamon bread, I'd go ahead and put my cinnamon in here and my little drops of vanilla, and then I always do honey in any bread that I do. And you want about a ½ cup to 3/4 of a cup. It really just depends on how sweet you want it. Let's see. Honey does a couple things for you. One, it's very healthy. Secondly, it's a great sugar for as far as sugars go. And the other thing it does is it helps with the sourdough. If your yeast is good, you could get away without using honey. But if it'll help if there's even a hint of sour. It kind of helps with that. It's good to add a little sugar. So, anyways, I think that's probably about right. Okay, so we're gonna go like that. That may have been a little less than what I normally do, but that's okay. All right, so we just mix that up all nice and good. And there's something very important that everyone should always remember. Never let salt touch your yeast directly, okay? Salt will kill it. So I've done that before and it's not very cool. All right, so now, oops, sorry. We've got our honey in here, we've got our oil in here, and we're gonna go ahead and do our flours. And I'm going for a compromise with my family. We do a half and half here. You can always use whole wheat. You don't have to use white flour. But I've done 10 cups of white flour in here. It's a total of 21 cups of flour in this recipe. You may need to add more if it's too moist, and we'll look at that in just a minute and see if we need to when I'll show you what to look for. But sometimes if it's really humid, you know, the temperature, actually the air and how much humidity is in the air and things like that can affect your dough. So that's what makes, I think, making bread a little tricky sometimes, is you have to know what you're looking for. So you can never, you can go too much on flour. You can also go too little on flour. You can't change it once you've added too much. So it's actually better to start with a little less than what you think you're going to need and then add some than to have too much at the very beginning. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so I threw my flour on top. Now, before I mix it in with my yeast, I'm going to throw, this is 2/3 of a cup of powdered milk. You don't have to use powdered. You could do regular milk if you want. I choose to do powdered. And then this is vital wheat gluten, 2/3 of a cup as well. Makes it easy. They're both the same. You do not have to put those in there if you don't want to. Still get a good bread. This is 6 teaspoons of sea salt. So I'm going to throw that. Remember, we don't want our salt to touch the yeast directly. So I always put half my flour in, then my other dry ingredients that are not flour, and that includes the salt. So I throw that on top, kind of spread it out a little. Okay, so now I'm going to take what I've got in there, and I'm going to go ahead and I can actually dump this in. So we're going to dump our oil and sugar in, and the last little bit of water. Just throw that in there. Okay, then we're going to throw our lid on. Love my Bosch, but you can do this by hand. You do not have to have a mixer for this. It just makes it easier. You can get a big bowl and just start mixing. But anyways, I mix it with half the flour first. So we'll do that just for a second. Trying to get it all moist, almost like a pancake batter. The reason why I mix half of it with this, the reason why I don't do all the flour at once is because I want that flavor from everything to just really blend and be in the whole thing and not have any weird spots. So I don't know that you have to do that, but I always do it. So I mix that up real nice, and then I'll show you. Hi. So then we just take this part off, the whole thing, and see, it looks like a pancake batter. It's not thick at all. So now we're going to add the rest of the flour, which for in this case is our whole wheat flour, and we want to do 11 cups is what my recipe calls for. Now, if I was trying to be careful and I wasn't sure how this recipe was going to be, I would probably do a little less flour, like maybe 20 cups instead of 21, just to make sure that I don't have too much flour. So that's 2. And yes, I count out loud 3 because I don't have the best memory and I forget where I'm at. So 4. Oh, if my friend were here right now, she'd chastise me for saying I don't have a good memory. She'd say, you have a great memory. Okay, 5. 6. 7. 8. I want to talk about the flour for just a second. 9 as soon as I get done counting, because I don't forget. Where is that? Okay, there's 10. So we're going to do the 20 and just see how it goes. We'll probably need another cup, but let's just check and see here. So I kind of, it's a lot. It'll fill up your Bosch right to the tippy top. Anyways, so we're going to throw that on there. Okay. Mix that up. While that's mixing for just a second, we're seeing if we have enough flour. I want to talk about wheat flour. When you grind flour, like wheat, when you grind wheat, you need to do 2 things. You either need to use it right away, or you need to put it in the freezer and freeze it. Wheat, when it's been ground, will go rancid within a few days. I think it's 3 days. It goes rancid. So you want to use it or put it in the freezer. If you put it in the freezer, it will store for months. It's awesome that way. All right, go ahead and pause.